why is this so cool? It's the first of many, I think, and the first step into the agentic AI world for the consumers, for the consumer side of things. Anyone can run it. It's not incredibly difficult to set up, and then you can use it to do whatever you want. And that makes it scary, but it's the evolution. And as we said before, this whole AI movement is more a consumer-driven revolution than a business-driven revolution. And you can see this one also going to get adopted into companies in a while, in a different form, I hope. But I can see the potential is enormous for this.
Welcome to the latest impact of AI Explored. So, what are we talking about, Gerjon? We are talking about, I don't know, is it ClaudeBot? Is it Maltbot? OpenClaw? This thing is taken off like nobody's business. So, first of all, in case you're like wondering, has he lost it? No, I haven't. I am talking about OpenClaw. This is the personal AI agent, but it started out on, it's only been a couple of weeks. On January 2020, the 25th of January, it was announced as ClaudeBot. Then Anthropic did not like that, obviously, because they have Claude. So it became Maltbot on the 27th. And then on the 29th of January, it became OpenClaw. So that's just in the space of 3 days that it changed its name. Now, what is it? So essentially, it's a personal AI agent. People seem to be buying Mac Minis like they're going out of business. And some of the images I've seen are that. So what exactly is? It's a personal AI agent, and it can do things like it can do your email, scheduling, browser control. We've talked about browser control before, and we're going to get into the security side of things a lot later. Now, the big thing this is, it runs locally. So as I said, people have been putting this on Mac Minis. It can interact with WhatsApp, Telegram, and then you can talk to it via WhatsApp and Telegram and then get it to do things. And a lot of people have said it's the closest thing to AGI, and I'm just going to say now it ain't. No, let's shut that down now. So, Gerjon, how have you seen this so far?
Well, I've seen it blown up online, as you
Yes.
have. It's incredible, and everybody's talking about it. But in the end, it's just some kind of gateway which you can talk to, and it will use some automation and stuff, and it will connect to an LLM model to do the talkative bit, to do the interpretation bit. And that you can also run that locally or in the cloud. So you can connect your OpenAI subscription or your Claude subscription or your Gemini subscription to use as the online LLM part to do the AI stuff. But it's blowing up. Before the what you say, before the end of January, we never heard of it, and now I can open my feed on Instagram or whatever, and there is some guy talking, I got OpenClaw and it changed my life and I can do everything now. And people really like it because, well, what it does do for the first time, it's a not very complex way to install something on your laptop that actually can do work for you. The downside is you have to give it a lot of information and a lot of credentials to get stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
no, it does. We mentioned a couple of things there. It will do whatever you tell it to do. Now, so if you think about that, you said you connect it to your API for your AI subscription.
Yep.
Your tokens are going to fly out like this. People are losing, they're spending a couple of $100 or dollars on a Mac Mini. They have their OpenAI subscription. They're maxing out their tokens quite quickly, but they're saying this thing is the best thing and they now can't live with it. And I've even heard now, it's the internet. So some of these stories about whether businesses are interacting them, I really hope no business is putting these anywhere near their business, to be honest, because
No.
we're going to get into it now, but these things are an absolute security nightmare. Like, there are so many loopholes, and now I got in on the hype. I did put out a post on LinkedIn, and one person said mine does no harm because I have it set it up with a firewall, all that. But the majority of people are not doing that. They're just installing this thing and letting it go. Like, there's a site called Shodan, which shows all open machines around the world.
With ports,
Yeah,
it shows you can say
it
I want
shows
to
all the
search.
ports. Yeah,
Yeah, it shows I want to, for
so
example, I want to do remote desktop protocol to a machine. You can
yeah,
search there, show me all open RDP is
yeah.
the
Well,
abbreviation of that, and it will show you.
since the 27th of January, those numbers have increased by 40,000. You can now see 40,000 OpenClaw instances around the world. Because essentially what you're doing when you install OpenClaw is you're installing a server component with full system level access. That's where you really need to or understand. You are giving complete control of your computer to this thing. And we've already, so what we've said is, to start with, that the whole thing around it's visible on the internet. That means someone can hack in and pawn your session and see what's on your machine, extract data, and we're not even got into the craziest bit, because this stuff gets even crazier. Like, so there's a lot of kind of malicious sides, and people. I was talking about this on the post I put out on LinkedIn, and basically we're at the stage with AI where the level of FOMO is just off the
Off the
charts.
chart. Yeah, it's incredible.
People are just dismissing and not. One person actually responded back to my to my post, and they did a really good comment. It's like, he said, I went to the swimming pool the other day. I left my stuff in a locker, but I left it open. And someone came to me after I came back. Now, thankfully, nothing was taken. He said, you're an idiot for leaving your locker open like that. This is what you're doing if you install this on a device. You are essentially saying to every cyber hacker, any hacker out there, come look at my system and grab what you want, because I've left the gates wide open.
Yeah, and the
So
problem is that the people that are the most into this stuff are not the most technical knowledgeable people, because you can of course disable a remote access, or you can tweak it so it's less insecure. But most of the people just run it on their laptop, they leave the laptop on, and they go
yeah, they're
away.
not doing what, they're not sandboxing this thing away
No,
from or putting it behind a VPN or a firewall or anything like that. They're just leaving it open. But because as I said, it comes down to the whole FOMO thing, and that people are essentially, there's a lot of people who've been putting out a lot of content and saying, oh, this is what you do, this is going to change your life, and people are getting hooked on this stuff and starting to install these things. But we're trying to basically say, yes, play with these things, but understand what you're playing with. And
because it is awesome tech, and
yeah,
it's we were looking at AI as evolutionary, but this is the next revolutionary step, because
yeah,
it just takes you 2 steps further in the evolution. You can tell it, order me a pizza mozzarella, and it will find a way to order you a pizza mozzarella from
yeah.
somewhere.
But as we've said, you've basically given it your AI API key. Someone can take that and then install it on their own, and then you'll suddenly see your bill tripled, and you won't know why. Well, someone's stolen your API key because you installed this thing and left it completely open. So,
Mm.
but as you said, the kind of potential of this, and we are talking frontier AI here. This is not anyone even attempting to put this on a business system. Just
Please no.
please don't,
No.
don't even think about it.
And
But
if
for
you think about
personal
it,
use,
don't
for
do it.
playing around, put it on isolated hardware. Try and understand. There is some great articles. We'll try and find some, put them in the show notes around how you can do this thing securely, because it is possible. I read one on Twitter last night, and there's a step-by-step guide. You can actually secure this thing. So if you're going to play with this, at least try and look after yourself, because of what could potentially happen. But I suppose, as you said, this is the next revolution of where we're going with AI, where these things are. It's for me, it's like it's where I've wanted to get with. If you remember back to when we talked about my first AI presentation, it was Tony Stark with Jarvis.
Yeah.
And Jarvis was doing things, and he was able to talk to Jarvis. This is the start of this. Now it's being put together. Like this guy was living in Austria, and this is just a project he built in GitHub. So Peter Steinenberger, he basically put this together, and he started playing around with it, and then he put it out in GitHub, and people started looking at it and grabbing it, and that's how this started. It was just a project this guy started it. So he was trying to think how he could build, a personal AI agent. So he didn't think of all of the kind of potential repercussions that could occur.
No, it's just a hobby project. Yeah.
It was a hobby project. Then he put it out on Twitter, and then people latched onto it. And then, as we said, there's been 100,000 downloads of this thing in the space of, it's now the 17th of February and it came out on the 27th of January. So space of 3 weeks. It's insane. And you can't move on social media of any type, including LinkedIn, about posts about this. And it gets even weirder, because there's this whole thing about something when it rebranded to Maltbot. You had this thing called Maltbook, which is now, I don't believe this, to be honest. I think this is people messing around, and there's been posts that have basically backed up that fact. But essentially, this is the AI. It's a Reddit for the AI agents, and humans are only allowed to observe only. There's been consciousness claims that they formed their own religion. Humans are screenshotting us, so we better be careful. Nobody has verified that this is actually agents talking to this. This is essentially, as far as I can see, this is people vibe coding and messing, and none of this is actually real. But it is. This whole thing has just swept up the whole AI IT space in a way that I haven't seen in a long time. Probably since ChatGPT launched. I don't think
it feels.
I don't think
for some reason
anything.
It feels like that. Yeah, it's that big.
Yeah. But this whole thing about this whole Reddit thing where they were having this chat between AI agents and stuff. I was like, what? That's just crazy. So, but this is definitely the next revolution of where we're going. But you do need to think of things like your API keys, the amount of tokens, because this thing doesn't stop. It does if you tell it to do.
If you want a pizza, it will get you a pizza.
Yeah, I'll get you a pizza,
regardless of how much time it takes.
Yeah, exactly. It might take days, and how many tokens are you going to go through in days, or if you give it something really complex, it's just going to keep going and going and going. I know I sometimes hit my limits on Claude and stuff like that, but this thing's going to constantly hit limits because of what you're telling it to do. This is an autonomous AI agent. We've talked about those before when we said other things were mostly automations. No, this is actually an autonomous AI agent which goes off and performs tasks for you. I've even seen some kind of skit posts where people were like, "Oh, do me a business plan for a $1 billion company," and then it goes off, and it basically it goes through the stages of getting to bankruptcy, and then the agent goes ahead, files for bankruptcy, and then starts again and keeps going in a loop.
It's incredible.
Now,
and
obviously that was just like playing it out to the maximum where it could go, but you kind of can see the potential for it. And we've talked about this is cool, but this is scary as well.
Yeah, and this is we talked about this also in a previous podcast, I think, with Brian Madden, that AI is the ultimate interface to your workday, and this is the start of that. You can send it a chat through Telegram channel or WhatsApp or whatever you connect, and it will fix it for you in the back, and it will get back to you saying your shoes are coming tomorrow if you want to order shoes.
Yeah.
So that makes it that you don't have to do a lot of stuff. It will do it for you. And if you say, okay, I want to reschedule 4 or 5 business meetings because I want to have Thursday off, reschedule my meetings, and it will get back to you. Meetings are rescheduled. That AI is the interface to your work.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of the craziness of OpenClaw, I've actually I've been looking into Claude Cowork, which is a very different scenario. First of all, it runs in a sandboxed Linux VM, and you only granted access to what you wanted to have access to. It gives you a plan of what's it about to do. It sets out all the stages and asks you to approve each step. So you always know what it's doing. And my advice and the way I'm going to be working with this is, I asked someone on LinkedIn, because he was saying, "Oh, Claude Cowork is really great, and I'm getting all these productivities." And I asked him flat out, have you installed this on your main work laptop? And he went, no. So he's using it on a different machine and feeding it files and stuff like that, which are obviously duplicates of the files. Because there has been, with OpenClaw, there has been like quite a few incidents of people just, their data's gone. Yeah. It's just, they've asked it to reorganize the data, and it's just deleted it. So
that's the ultimate reorganization.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you reorganize those files for me? Yeah, I deleted them.
Yeah.
What?
So you can make new ones.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. If you are playing with OpenClaw and you have data on your machine, either just give it a dummy folder or something, don't allow it near whatever you're working on.
Or at least have backups.
Backups are still needed in 2026.
Exactly. We still need them. And one of the things that we were discussing over WhatsApp yesterday is that since OpenClaw exploded on the internet, the guy who built it, Steinberger, is now been hired by OpenAI.
Yes. Yeah. You bring up an interesting thing, because I've been reading a couple of things. It's saying like, this is the first example of the one-person billion-dollar company. No, this is a guy who created a project. OpenAI saw an opportunity and have hired that person. Did they pay him $1 billion? I don't know what they've paid him, but I doubt it's close to that. So
would be nice for him.
I'm sure he's done very well for himself, but and OpenAI claims they're keeping OpenClaw as an open project. They said they were staying as a kind of,
I would not bet money on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not sure how long that will stay as an open community based project. We shall see.
It's cool. The term they used on the internet was the acquire, not the acquire, but the acquire. It's a cool term, I think. But it's a cool move by OpenAI saying, okay, we try to build something, or maybe they have been building something, and they say, ooh, this is going to help us heaps, so we'll just enlist him in the workforce, and we have all the code, and we can build from there.
Yeah,
that's a smart move.
It is, and potentially people have said, like, Anthropic shouldn't have threatened to sue them and should have actually have bought it themselves. But I don't think Anthropic and OpenAI are playing in the same playground anymore. OpenAI is very much going for the consumer space. I think it's very apparent now Anthropic are going for enterprise, and enterprise do not want this thing in any shape or form. This is enough to give any CISO nightmares for the next 15 years. It breaks every rule that a CISO would put in place. Because you are basically giving an AI agent the keys to the kingdom. So in an enterprise sense, that's just lunacy, basically.
Yeah, and people should be thinking about what can we put in place to detect if people are using it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, you should definitely be looking at if someone is, I'm not going to say, if they're, not thinking properly and decide to install it on a work device, which is just such a bad idea. You need some way of detecting that this is running, whatever software you utilize for that, to determine that if this execute, I don't know, it wouldn't even be an executable. I don't think it would be some sort of, I don't know what it would be. So you have to figure out, this is the thing. So this is shadow AI gone crazy, to be honest.
To the max.
This is not product. This is people being so blinkered about, this is going to make me more productive. Actually, I was reading, there was an article the other day, and it was, I think, people in California, they were leaving parties to go and check how their AI agents were doing. Just stay at the party. There's life outside.
It's not
AI
a dog.
agents. Jeez,
it's not a dog. No,
just stop. No, but they wanted to see how it had done or all that, and I was just like, wow, yeah.
It's a strange world.
It's a strange world, yes. But yeah. So coming back to the whole thing about kind of security and enterprise, yeah, my view is very much that Anthropic is, and you can see it in everything they're doing. As I was telling you, you now have the ability to output in PDF, in Word docs, PowerPoint presentations, full documents. Then you can take them and then you can just edit them away. And they're 95. They're really kind of making progress quickly. If you look at Opus 4.6, is just crazy how good it is. And the other thing they're doing, which is really cool as well, they've got this thing called skills. And so essentially, when I tell it to output as a Word document, it accesses a skills file, and it knows how to take, I think what its default is like an MD file, and it does the conversion process to Word. But what you now have is online, you have repositories of skills you can upload to it, but you also have the ability to look at your own role and then with Claude build your own skill. So if there's something you want, yourself, and then you can
build your digital self, and then
yes, exactly,
it can do your job.
Exactly. Start the whole, and you can definitely utilize Claude to build your second brain, that kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, so while I can see people's point of view that OpenAI have really scored a goal here by getting Steinberger on board. I think if Anthropic had wanted to, they could have, but they just were like, nope. Big nope. But they'll probably just come up with their own equivalent, but which is way more secure pretty soon, because it's all currently open source. They can just download the code and improve it and put it out themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other crazy part, because everything is just on GitHub, so you could, if you want to
Yeah.
tinker with it or
Or
you
you
want
can
to make it
figure
do
out
other
how to
stuff.
make the thing even more exploitable than it currently is, because it is in an open depository. You can just take it down to your local AI and say, how do I make this even worse and make it easier to hack?
Yeah,
So,
or
and
hackers can now
pushing
know
it,
to go and
and
check for
because,
security issues.
yes,
Yeah,
and because there's 100,000 instances of this thing out there, you can push an exploit to 100,000 systems and just completely fry them in seconds. So yeah, isolated sandboxes. Ask your AI how to build one, and then
yeah, yeah,
or just even install, if you're install a virtual machine on your actual machine, anything that kind of isolates this thing. You know,
or an old laptop.
I would put it on a separate machine completely if it was
Yeah,
me, away from everything, and don't allow it near your have it. I wouldn't give it network access. I just would play around with it on the machine. Don't go further than that even.
yeah, but then it will still be limited to just helping you on the machine, and you need to have a local AI installed to do the
Yeah,
AI
you'd need
bit.
to install a local AI if that's the way you're going to go, and obviously that then requires more resources than, because this is pretty low in terms of resources.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Looking
yeah,
at that, I wasn't
it
really
can
scared.
run on a 500 meg 500 meg RAM of RAM Raspberry Pi. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's not that big.
no, my phone probably has more memory than that, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
even
but
run it on my phone. So
no, 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 not on my daily phone. No, if I had one
no,
to spare, perhaps,
no,
but no. But it's just to circle back on why is this so cool? It's the first of many, I think, and the first step into the agentic AI world
yeah.
for the consumers, for the consumer side of things.
Mm,
Anyone can run it. It's not incredibly difficult to set up, and then you can use it to do whatever you want.
mm,
And that makes it scary, but it's the evolution. And as we said before, this whole AI movement is more a consumer-driven revolution than a business-driven revolution, because the consumers were using it before the companies were. And you can see this one also going to get adopted into companies in a while, in a different form, I hope. But I can
yeah.
see the potential is enormous for this.
Oh yeah, like who doesn't want a completely personal assistant? Like, you know, um,
Yeah,
and this is what this is. But this is frontier wild west AI. Like, going as fast as you can. Evolution, not
yeah,
really caring about the security consequences. But like when 100,000 people download something, you do have to think of the security consequences, because that's a huge sample, and the potential for things to go really badly wrong are huge. So yeah, I'm all for people playing with things. And experimenting with these systems. That's the only way you're going to learn. But just understand what you're putting and where you're putting it. Essentially, is what I'm saying.
yeah.
And I think it goes with all of this kind of stuff. Like, I've just said I'm playing around with Claude Cowork, but I'm going to go spin up a VM and play around with it on there. I'm not going to expose it to my production work laptop. So
No.
even though it's coming from Anthropic and they've tested it, they even say in the release notes, which I actually read, it,
Wow. Oh, you're that kind of guy.
I well for this I looked at it, but it actually says this is a research preview. This is not a production release. So even though people are using it and kind of getting all of those productivity gains from Cowork, it's still only a research preview. So it will get better and more precise, but that's where it is. So yeah,
Yeah, and others will follow, because Copilot, Microsoft Copilot is also coming with it's some kind of agent mode,
mm,
and others will follow. So we'll see how that all pans out. But it's really cool to see, and how something that some guy built in his spare time can cause a complete breakdown of the
Yeah,
internet.
or shift in where we're going. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it does the potential. And I get what people are saying about you have the ability to spin up one person companies because of everything that's available to you. And I do agree with that to a certain extent, but um I and we will see, a one person $1 billion company because, you know, at this stage things are going to evolve even more and more. With even what's available today, you could potentially set up your own company, and lots of people have already. So yeah, and the fact that you can have then agents running and doing all of these tasks autonomous for you, it will definitely happen.
Yeah. So it's a cool thing. As we said before, it's a cool time to be alive, to witness all this stuff in real life and in real time happening.
Yep. All right. Well, thank
So
you, everyone.
yeah, I
We will.
think with that, it's a good segue to close it off. So
Yep.
as you might have noticed, which James forgot to mention at the beginning, we don't have a guest for this one. We were thinking about doing this. We were looking at potential guests, but we couldn't find what we want. So we thought, well, let's try one ourselves. We did it before, and these are also fun to do.
Yeah.
So James, you were closing off. So
Yeah, no, just hopefully you find this useful. We're not trying to dissuade anyone from not experimenting with AI. Just be careful what you're doing, and take some precautions. And I understand FOMO can be can really get at people, and you feel like you're missing out. One, you're not missing out. Because some of these things should be just left alone and not touched, or in very kind of controlled circumstances, and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's just what we're kind of trying to say. It's all very cool, and it's great to play with these, to look at all of these different things, but in a controlled sense. So yeah, we will see you on the next episode. Thanks very much for listening, watching, and we'll see you again.